I think the world is becoming more complexly interdependent faster than our political models and leadership can cope with that reality. And that you see that with climate change, you see it with conflict, you see it with pandemics, you see it with the way economic issues spread so rapidly across the world. And there's a tension because the easier answer if you're communicating as a politician is to sort of pretend that that interdependence doesn't exist. And you sort of paint a picture for your own community and your own world. The trouble is, as numerous rich and poor countries are discovering, reality doesn't play by those rules. And reality, whether it's in economic shocks or in conflict or in COVID-19 was a very good example, but has no interest in whether or not you've got a border or a particular political constituency. And so when I think about the sort of the future that Nubar sort of paints a picture of and the challenge it imposes on us, this is going to come down to leadership. But it's not just the leadership at the level of heads of government. It's also the leadership at the level of communities and the kind of leadership that we've seen from the Aurora humanitarians. That's equally as important. But there are a few things that I think we have to sort of keep in mind as we grapple with this stuff. The first is this adage of leaving no one behind. It's all too easy to say, but it's actually quite difficult to deliver on. And in fact, I think we should reverse the logic and say we should start with those left behind and put our efforts most, because societies which have actually focused on the most marginalized tend to end up being better societies for everybody to live in. The second issue is this issue of rights. I mean, certainly at the Global Fund, we think of human health issues as fundamentally as rights issues. It shouldn't be a matter of luck whether you live or die to a disease that we know how to cure. It should be a matter of justice and right that we provide the way to keep people alive. And certainly one thing we are increasingly focused on is the fact that biomedical interventions are absolutely essential, the latest vaccines, the latest diagnostics, the latest instruments, but they're not enough. If you look at why adolescent girls and young women in parts of Africa are 8 times as likely to be infected by HIV than adolescent boys and young men of the same age, that's not a biomedical issue. That's an issue of stark gender inequalities, it's of gender-based violence, it's economic disadvantage, it's educational disempowerment. And so unless we're prepared to tackle those sorts of issues, along with the deployment of the fantastic technologies we now have at our disposal, we're not going to deal with these. But I come back to the fund, unless we recognize that we're all on the same planet and that we all share a common humanity and that our leaders and ourselves deal with that, we're not going to be able to deal with these issues.